me in.
I forgot. Captains, good evening. That didn't work out so well. That was not supposed to be on, but I forgot to turn it off on that screen. Oh, phew, at least that's off now. Oh my gosh. Captains, good evening. Hopefully everyone is doing well. And this is our kind of pre-stream to Star Trek Fleet Week, and we are super excited, super excited. I already shared some things with some of my fellow captains about what had happened earlier, and I might have trizzed. What? Captains, hello. I see some of my fellow captains are X, Goofball, Nick, Wizard Girly, and then here on YouTube, Waldo, Rockstar Universe, Zilla, Dwayne, former, how are you, captains? Give you your salutes. And of course, your
Admiral, if you will come with
Admiral.
me.
So tonight, Mixed, what are you doing? Right? Jeez, Alpha, hello. Good evening. So we have a lot of things to talk about tonight, I think. If not a lot, at least a good amount. So, and we have an addition tonight to the shuttle bay here, and that is going to be who we'll be introducing here. So
I'm glad we
with
got the
me,
whole shuttle bay changed.
with me is going to be Mr. Lowlife.
Hello.
Sarcasm Detector, how are you, sir?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. I am very humbled and honored, and as you mentioned, this is kind of like a sort of how we met the first time.
A reversal, maybe? A turntable?
Nah.
Man, how the turntables.
Well, I thank you, sir, for joining us, and we're going to be having a lot to discuss here. So next up, we have, of course, the mixed mapping. Where's the mixed mapping? Mixed mapping!
I'm here.
Yes, you are. And dude, thank you for the resub, sir. You didn't have to do that right. Cheese. Wait, that, of course, cheese. Mixed mapping, hopefully you're doing well, sir.
I am doing good, thank you.
And of course, everyone knows our favorite binge them jigs. Me, oh, wow. Take me, Lucifer. Are you sure you want to say that right now? Are you sure? You know who...
I just was looking for something different.
Oh my
I looked
dear
up
Lord.
Elmo Fire, and this was one of the first ones.
Oh my dear Lord. Okay.
I can go back to the old one. There you go.
That is that's a new one. Just, oh my gosh. Just okay. So, captains, again, this is sort of an idea of ours to try to get a Stokast in before Fleet Week, and we wanted to drop down some ECs, and I have some things to really lean into. But first and foremost, I did want to, again, bring up first things here on our list here to somewhat talk about is those recent Nerf / buffs revisited. And I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. I'll throw mine at the end there. So, Mr. Sarcasm, we'll start with you, whatever you want to lay down.
Oh man, I have a lot to say, but to keep it very, very brief. You know what, this is not something that is new or recent and just popped up. It's a pattern that has been repeating for a while with the devs. And like I've said before, it doesn't matter what their intent is, it's the perception. And the way we've been perceiving it is pretty bad. They have reverted some things. So they went back and reverted Infiltrator so that it now stacks. However, it is not perfect. The Riemann Captain trait, Infiltrator, is not stacking with the Bridge Officer versions. So that is still nerfed. If you play a Riemann Captain and chose to play a Riemann Captain for that particular trait, well, fuck you. That's my one fuck, by the way. I used my one fuck,
That was
so I'm happy.
2. That's 3.
Dude, what the?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Tris is gonna break.
Oh my god. All things Shrek. Thank you, sir. Augie, how you doing, exotic? My god. I see what you
But
did
yeah,
there, sir.
that's- So back on the Infiltrator, they managed to revert that. They still need to fix something else. It just seems like there's always a case where they fix something and they break something else, or they don't quite fix it properly. I guess we now know why the Captain trait Infiltrator was broken. It wasn't broken. They had nerfed it a while back, apparently. Redistributor being rebuffed, I'll leave that up to Spencer to talk about that, but I still have a regret for buying that ship. And I'm pretty sure everyone else who bought it is probably regretting and wants that $30 back. There's more I could say, but I don't want to take up all the oxygen in the conversation.
Has to be PG, sir.
Stop it,
We are in a
Spencer.
safe place for Triz.
Okay, McStud.
On the revisit,
Anything you want to drop on those 3? Either the beat the dead horse, the revisit, the
yeah,
rebuff.
I'll just, I guess I'll beat it a little bit more. Yeah, it's the same thing I've been saying. It's, for me, it's not so much the nerfs. I mean, there's obviously problems in the way that they go about making those adjustments, and I'm not reading chat, but I can imagine. There's the technical side, that Spencer really covers in the way that they go about doing it, and whether or not it's lazy, not lazy. My biggest problem was, from a consumer standpoint, in letting us know prior to things happening once they've decided that they're going to change stuff. I'm happy that they said, we would look at it again and address it, and they did. Now, whether they addressed it in a way that's good enough, that's for everybody to decide for themselves. But I don't really care about that side of it as much. I care more so about, being informed once a decision's made to start changing a product that they're currently selling. So that when I'm going to spend money, I have all the information that is potentially available, so I can make a good informed decision on what I'm going to buy. So for me, I want to see them, make that change. The video I put out, the last one talking about that, was communication needs a buff. And for me, that's really the important part. Whether they broke it, fixed it, or whatever. I mean, this game's been screwed up since I started playing it, and we all still play it and love it. So I mean, that's just kind of a part of it, right? So for me, that's kind of neither here nor there. For me, it's more, from that consumer standpoint of, I'm a customer buying something, and I want to know that, if I'm buying something, you're not currently in the middle of changing it without telling us. So, to recap, in terms of the changes and the fixes and all of that, I really don't care that much. They might, they nerf something that was extremely powerful, good for the high end and all of that, but we'll find something else. I mean, that's what's fun about the game. So, I mean, that's not really an issue for me.
Agony deserved it, but it didn't deserve it to this level. Agony Redistributor absolutely needed to be nerfed. It was overpowered, without a doubt. Some random person could go in, hit it, and benefit off of, people doing DPS against that target. We had cases where people were getting into Prime, DPS Prime, which has a 500k DPS requirement, and like 300k of their DPS was from the Agony Redistributor, and 200k was the rest of their build. Someone like that got a ton of damage off of their teammates doing damage, and it was just a console that did a lot of damage without having a skill requirement other than knowing to hit it on a big target. So I'm fine, that got hit. It's just the way that they went about it. Definitely the communication, like Stu said, The one thing that I'm still not happy about is the eddies. They haven't addressed that, and I don't think they will. But it's more of they just don't seem to understand what the issue is the player base has there. They don't understand why people are upset about that console getting hit. But overall, I'd have to agree. Like, it's just communication, and we've all talked about this quite a bit over the past 3 weeks, so I'm not going to go into it a ton. Agony Redistributor, after its buff, it's still useless for most high-end folks. For someone just doing like randoms, you may still find use out of it, but the performance data since the patch shows that once you're doing a fairly decent amount of DPS in the 100k plus range, the console's pretty much worthless to you. Trace?
The talking with you guys off stream, off chat here, and you guys gave me a different perspective on it, because initially, which is almost my reaction to almost everything, like it didn't affect me. When I initially talked to McStud, he said he actually did get really upset because of that aspect that he talked about, where if they would have communicated it, he wouldn't have picked that for your 6 ship, right? And I never really necessarily thought of that side of things, because it, again, didn't affect the way I played the game. Because we're talking mostly about the high end, right? And the high end, and I said this to Spencer, the high end of how we know it, or how Spencer, you guys know it, is totally different from how the devs see it. Like, when we're talking about a team getting, what's the highest parse right now, Spence? A team assisted?
There hasn't been enough runs since the Nerf, man. So, like, most of the DPS scene is dead at this point.
Right. Okay, but what's the top right now? Last.
Well, I don't see why 2-3, 2-4 is not doable. In a left-right.
Okay, so that's in ISE, yes?
ISE, yes.
Okay, so the question that I had formulated in my head when we're talking about is, okay, so how does the devs then test it and say that whatever that message you saw they gave to you, about the AR being 17 or 2000, that's already high enough? Like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is how the way that they're testing it is totally different from how we are testing it.
They're not using a parser.
They're not using a parser. They're very disconnected, right?
They don't know how to build a ship.
Well, that's the other thing, and I'll get to that to the next one here. Or actually, I'll just probably flow into it, because it has something to do. Like, when I said this on the bridge here before on Twitch. Like, I was running when 10 Forward stream was on, okay, and it got to the point where people were talking about mines on the recent stream there with Kale and Bordicus. And then Bordicus said, "Tell me why mines is good with command." I stopped running and I face palmed. Okay, I could not believe what I heard. And after that, he said, "Well, I see people's build video," or before that, he said that, and I was like, okay, if you've seen build videos, then you would know.
2 and 2 together.
Well, but that's, again, there's some disconnect there, right? Their performance metrics, whatever that may be, is totally different from what you or the high end is putting together in terms of what is high performance or not.
Can I clarify that a little bit? It's a little bit deeper than that, because there is, sorry, Spencer, there is more to the game than just the ultimate high-end top 10 DPS thing. There's a whole depth and range.
The exchange.
In between.
Exchange and gambling. Lockbox gambling is huge for
Don't
me.
listen to him. There is more to the game. There are people who love to, if you want to actually see people in the game, queue up for a random advance that you will actually see
Ugh,
people in the game playing the game. There are people
scary.
who play that thing. So there is more of a depth to that. There is difficulties and layers to this. However, I don't think the devs play even at the advanced difficulty, let alone elite. I think they're at the very scraping the bottom of normal. There might be a dev or two out there who is capable of putting together two consoles on a ship to be competent enough to run a advanced queue. Maybe one or two devs. But yeah, I'm trying very hard not to swear.
Yeah.
No, it's like I said, it's deeper. It's much, much, much deeper than that. They do not know the metas of the game, which you should know. As a dev, you should possibly know what the different metas are in the game and the different synergies out there and the different possibilities of builds out there, because that's what you're building around, right? How do you know if you're designing something new, how it's going to affect the rest of the systems if you don't know what the rest of the systems are or how they interact with each other?
That's a good, and
So
I've always
they
said
just
this.
don't know.
Yeah, and I've always said, like, everyone does play differently, right? And at the end of the day, you just have to play the game how you want to, and what makes you happy. For the most part, I just, again, there's a disconnect that I don't know how to gap that, or I don't even know what that looks like. Does that look like, maybe a day with Spencer? Where he takes someone by the hand and just say, okay, well, this is the meta. Now, here's a question I have for the three of you, because you guys play more games outside of store than I do, especially MMOs. In other MMOs, do the devs know the in-game meta? And is it a player-driven meta, or is it a game-driven meta? I'll start with you, Mr. Sark.
I just spent a little bit of time talking, so I will pass it on to McStud for now, and I'll jump back
Okay.
in.
So the answer is yes. So I play multiple other games that the like I was telling one of you guys, might have been you, Trisander. I was watching it wasn't a dev stream, but there was devs on it. It was World of Tanks, and they were doing the clan battles. And so they had a dev on along with another guy that was a shot caller on the teams, and they had this whole production basically covering these clan battles. It's really cool way that the production themselves. But when either one of them are talking, they understand and know the game on a whole nother level than I do, right? I'm okay. I'm not real super good, but I'm okay. But these guys, I mean, they understand, like you wouldn't believe. You want to know something, you ask, they know it. But it's the problem with Stowe in that regard is that once the story content is over, there is no end game. There's no game loops. There's no, high-end dungeons or, different, raids or whatever that, reward more. There is no end game. And so, when they're developing and doing these things, of course there's no focus on it because there's no end game content. There's this higher, harder levels of some of the TFOs, or you can replay the story missions. And so, I really think the disconnect is that the end game is missing is the problem, right? And so all of us are players for a long time. We've done all the story content, and so we come in and we like the puzzle aspect of building ships, or we just like the way the ship models look, and whatever it may be. But all of that's made up by us. That's something we've filled in that gap with. And so when the devs are looking at the game and they're doing things, they don't there's not a focus there's not something for them to say, okay, we need to tweak this or do that for this level of play. The game only goes through the stories. There's nothing else designed into the game after that. So when I look at it, it's, like what Sark said is 100% right, and I think the reason, like I just said, is because there is no end game. There's nothing to design around. There's no loops or anything that's built for the end game. All there is exchange, gambling, and building your ship. And but what is there to do with all of that, right? We make all of that up ourselves. We the player base has created parse tables, picked the best maps for parsing out builds and those kinds of things, but that's all created by us, not by them. And I think that's where that disconnect comes from.
I would just add that when you look at most other games, the developers do take the time to understand the meta. They may have created the meta or like pushed it in that direction, and they see what people are using and they want to create. In most other games, they would want to understand that meta so that they can create items or whatever that people doing that meta are going to be more interested in, so that they can have more focus and monetize off of that play style. And you just don't have that in Stowe. Nowadays, when we get something good, it's just random luck, that it was something good. It wasn't, in most cases, it wasn't designed, out of having that understanding of the meta to know that it would be really popular. It was just it really was blind luck. The last time we had anything that was intentionally designed for DPS players, as far as I know, and the only time I can really think of, or the two times, are the Legendary Scimitar, because Jet, that was the last thing she built, and then the Vodwar Juggernaut, which was another ship that Jet had built, and that one was explicitly meant to be, this is the best energy weapon ship in the game. The Scimitar itself is also, a really great platform, and it's also technically the only ship that can do the ultra high-end meta, the Thaleron stuff, but Thaleron is so high-end that it basically is non-existent because of the team you need for it.
Right. And
Sorry. Cheers.
yeah, sorry, no, sorry.
I remember there are quirks. Spencer reminded me of something where a particular meta creeps in unexpectedly into a game, say like Diablo 3. And the devs are like, huh? Okay, let's run with it. And a new meta is born. This has crept up in other games. It would be nice if the devs could know the game a bit better. I mean, it would be nice. There is no Trinity in this game, all right? There's no possible reason to require a tank, a healer, anything like that. All you need is DPS. All you need is just pure DPS. The more DPS you do, the better you do at the game, which is so simplistic. It's always been like that. The exception for some of the elite queues that we're doing now, where we'd have like tanks and control and stuff like that. All that is just it's not absolutely necessary. It helps out. It just polishes the numbers a bit. It would be nice to have like different metas, like make drain good again, instead of having to put in 1,000 drain X points into drain to make it useful. Why can't it be useful at 300 drain X points, right? Why does science captains, why don't they have any specializations for extra control, extra EPG, any extra like that? They do have a little bit. There's no requirement for that in the particular TFOs or in the game. So it's just useless. It's pointless. And I think if the devs knew a little bit better about how to diversify the different metas out there, maybe they could design a better game out there. Or we could wait for STO2. but that's a different conversation, isn't it?
Heads exploding.
If I can just put a GIF there with the so I wrote a note when you guys were talking, so because you guys were talking about devs and stuff like that, their knowledge of the game, but this goes off of a note that I talked to Spencer about a couple of days ago. So balance. So what does that look like then? So we have, let's say, the top tier five or six traits that we have for, let's say, just torpedo builds, right? I mean, name them off quickly, Spencer, if you can, for me. Just whatever that, what you need to get the top.
Subspatial, REA, Turn Goodbye, Ruin, ETM. What would the sixth be? Oh no, you're throwing questions.
But the point is, so those 5 traits, okay? You need those to get your top performing traits. So in my question to balance, and again, we'll go from from Sark, Mixed-Stud, then back to you. Would you then want what's your definition of what a balance would be then for this game, for Star Trek Online? Is it that you can slot any 5 traits and you'll get the same performance, or what does that look like? Okay, go
Actually,
ahead.
Yes, you should be able to put any 5 traits or any 6 traits or however many traits you have into your ship and have comparable performance within a standard deviation or 2 to the max. You should be adding flavor to the different things, where something could be a particular meta could be more DPS heavy, something could be a little bit more tanky, something could have a little bit more control, but in the end they all do roughly about the same amount. And then what you would do is you would tweak it every once in a while, every 6 months, every year. You would go in and you would nerf a few things incrementally here and there, and then you would buff other things incrementally here and there in other places, so the game stays fresh. Now, the exact numbers for that would probably require some smarter people who do numbers. Spencer, that's up to you, I would think.
Numbers scare me.
Get that spreadsheet.
But you like them. You have so much of them.
You have a spreadsheet.
I have a spreadsheet just for this exact situation.
Mixed-Stud, what do you think?
I don't know that I fully understand what you're asking, but I feel like the game is fairly well balanced in terms of the diversity of the way you can build, and especially running like my free-to-play account. I mean, I can do extremely well with any of the different kinds of builds, and that's without spending any money on it over 2 years, right? And so that doesn't speak to how free to play it is, but how accessible, and how many there's a lot of stuff I don't have, and so I have to find other things to make work, and I'm able to do that with science, tank, torp builds, scatter volley, beam overload, and I can do really, really well with basically every single one of those things I just named off, except for a tank can do over 100k in a pug in a good run. So I think the game is balanced fairly well. If you take the outliers out, like the agony console, obviously that was something that was not balanced. It came into the game and it's doubling plus an average person's DPS that's halfway competent in putting together a build, and they fixed that. Right now, we lived with it for a while, and again, I think it's all process. That's why we're having this conversation. If this had came out and a week later they fixed it, like, we wouldn't even ever have talked about it, really, right? So I think the game's pretty well balanced. Can they do a better job at it? Probably. And again, World of Tanks is an example. Again, they just went through doing some adjustments, right? So there were certain tanks they gave a little bit more armor in the front, and other tanks that they slowed down the reload time a little bit, because they're trying to bring things more in line. They didn't want anything that had an advantage needed to have also some equal disadvantage, so that it gave us plenty of flavor to play any kind of tank style that we wanted to. Maybe I'm like terrible with my gun, so I just need something more tanky, has better armor, but I'm not going to do as much damage, right? And so there's these trade-offs regardless of what you go with. And every now and then a tank would come out that would just be a little bit too much in a couple of those areas. And so every quarter or so they go in and they'll nerf a couple little things, they'll buff a couple little things and balance it all out. So the process of World of Tanks doing it is very good, but I think in general STO is not real bad in terms of being way out of balance. It's really a part of it is accessibility, or knowing how to be able to access stuff without spending a lot of money. And I wouldn't be able to do that with my free to play account if I hadn't first had my main account that I spent money on, right? So if you're just somebody coming into the game, you either have to spend that money, or you have to really spend time learning. So I think the balance in the game, it has more to do with how complicated the game is and people picking it up and really understanding that, than it is really consoles and things being really out of whack. I mean, because we're only really talking about two consoles, right? The Weathership console and the Agony Redistributor. Everything else is pretty in line. Some are a little bit better than others, but there's trade-offs in what you're putting in or taking out. So I don't know if that exactly answers your question, but that's my feelings on what I think you were asking.
There's the web spinner array as well. I think that one is borked.
Yeah, they butchered that.
It's broken, right? So the problem is the incompetence. The problem is the process, and all of that is the issue, because they screwed that up. But it also the passive effect on it doesn't work,
Partially.
So it's yeah. So I don't know. It's a good way to categorize it. It's just not done well. Is the problem,
And then they tell us that no, the devs are happy. The ones who designed it are happy with how it's working. Which there's moose feces in there somewhere. Either the one who delivered the message or the person who told the person who delivered the message. There is the fact that someone said or attributed that they are happy with how the web spinner array is performing when it is demonstrably not working, not functioning as it says on the thing.
Yeah, that's
so
wrong.
Yeah.
Hence?
What is balance? I don't know. It's
Yeah, well, okay, so I'd ask you this question before you go. Sorry, I had asked you this question directly to you, so I want to see if you can expand on it. If you were a dev, what would balance be to you?
I think balance is having each build type be capable of similar performance. Like, if someone heavily invests in a torp build or like a beam overload build and they're focused on single target, then if they spec them out the same, they should offer comparable performance. Likewise, if you're doing an AoE based build, then if you invest an equal amount into fire at will versus CSV, then the performance should be a lot closer than it is. I don't think when it comes to like balancing starship traits, I think that with the current monetization approach, it's justifiable that they would have some of the more impactful traits behind the premium tiers. I think that balance wise, having traits that are like extensions or change the core fundamentals of an ability that can directly impact gameplay in that way, that should be fairly accessible. But like when it comes to boosting numbers up heavily, like to get a really large boost for some specific thing like Ruin, where it gives you 300% damage or whatever, that being locked behind premium is it's fine to me, even though there's nothing like it in the lower tiers of ship availability. Does that answer your question, Tris?
Well, I just wanted to see what it meant to you, and it might have not been clear, but It was more just to see how you guys feel, because to me, I always kind of, I guess I could, again, if I'm referring to me, dumb it down to just me playing the game that the way I play it. It's not meant to tell everyone to play the way I do. No, it's where I get my enjoyment. And when these nerfs happened, you know, okay, whatever, time to move on. And then I even told you, Spence, you know, then you guys would find another sort of meta, right? You would build the ship differently now. You would possibly go back to old traits, but
theoretically, the potential like max DPS I don't think has actually changed that much. Because before and afterwards, in theory, Thaleron. It's just a pain to do a run like that, but the Thaleron is the peak, you know, Deep's potential, and you know this didn't really change that.
right? It's not really making it about me, but more just how I'm playing. That's all I'm saying.
What the thing is with this game, with how sandboxy it is and how little they care about, you know, power creep and all that, I sometimes I don't get some of the decisions for the nerfs because it's like they put in so much other crap that is just, you know, pushing us further and further along, and it just, I don't know. I feel like if they were actually caring about balancing, they would have started a very long time ago, and not just be hitting a few things now.
Well, so Trance mentioned earlier in the chat there, you know, there's things that have been broken since launch. And Sark talked about earlier that Infiltrator trait has been the way it has been forever since it came out. And then all of a sudden they're going to touch it for no reason, and then all of a sudden revert it. Then why did you know, like if we didn't react the way we did, or if those who didn't react the way they did when all these nerfs happened, do we think they would have revisited it? No.
I think the only reason they have even revisited these things is because it's they have, with the Agony console and especially the weather ship, they have eroded customer trust in them. There's a lot of people, even after the buffs to Agony again, who I've heard say that they don't want to go out and buy ships for consoles anymore because they don't know how long they're going to last. They just, people have, like, the wider general player base has just lost trust with Cryptic after that, and it'll take a while for that to recover.
Right, and you'd say,
I just,
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I want to make a point here. They have said that the Infiltrator stacking was a bug. I don't believe that. I believe Infiltrator stacking has always been intended from the very, very beginning, and them coming out and saying, oh, it was an unintended bug from the very start is even more moose feces.
Well, it had to have been working as intended for that type of stacking, like that under the original design, because otherwise what the hell's the point of going with a Riemann captain? The entire point of a Riemann captain is that they have the Infiltrator trait on them, so you could stack that with Superior Infiltrator.
So you think that their quote-unquote fix for it was unintended, and they said, well, it was, and the original way we designed it was unintended, and that it just...
I feel like
yes.
Yeah.
I could also see it being just that the person who initially designed it did it one way, and now someone completely different that wasn't there when that happened saw it, looked at how it was stacking and compared to other traits, and was like, oh, this isn't intended. And they've said before they don't have much documentation on some things.
Now, I remember a while back, Subterfuge was stacking, and they did a pass. It might have been Jet who did this, and they actually fixed the Subterfuge stacking, but they did not touch the Infiltrator stacking. I'm sorry for interrupting you, McStud. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you know, so why why would they even touch this stuff? I mean, what difference does it make to most people? I mean, 99%, of the game, why would they care if it was, stacking or not stacking? And that's why I think I agree with what you said there, Sark, is that I think the fix was actually an unintended bug, and then they said that it was a fix for an unintended bug that had been around for a decade.
And what other bugs are there? I mean, there's just a ton. I'm not even sure if the Pendever thing is fixed. Is that fixed? Like, I think after the patch still, when they intended to fix the 750 cap thing or whatever, people were still being locked out of there. I mean, that's a recent bug, but I mean, I'm not sure what else is dating back to the start of the game or that is past a like 10-year mark. And then I just feel like there's a disconnect. They just pick and choose and no feedback whatsoever. And then it took them to change a recent nerf, the whole community just going, are you serious right now? Right? And then Kale doing damage control and trying to, and just really said, and I mean, good on him actually, that he's somewhat, not even somewhat, he did take accountability for it on stream as well. He scheduled a stream and addressed it right away, right in the beginning, addressed it. So I did appreciate that. It's just, why touch things when they're already supposed to be whatever working? And then to the point that McStud said, it's not going to affect the majority of the player base. And I think you said, Sark, on your stream about there's only a handful of captains that can even do that type of build. That, that could, the cloak build, I believe, that you were talking about on your stream.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's two parts to this, right? There's the actual original Infiltrator build, which is kind of difficult to pull off. And then there's the second part, which is she's a Predator trait, legendary trait, from a very expensive ship. And that changes things completely, because that takes the meta in a completely different direction. I mean, you're spending a whole trait to get that, and you could pull it off. Actually, you can pull off like the damage bonus that you would get from a cloaking ship on a non-cloaking ship, and then you'd have like basically double dipping into ambush bonus on a ship with actual cloak. Using that particular trait, she's a Predator, and the way before they touched it, the way it worked out, if things were correct, the best person, the best captain to put in a legendary scimitar would be a Reman captain. The second best would be a Romulan, and then everyone else would also get a benefit, but the person who would get the most benefit would be the Reman, second followed by a Romulan. So that actually gives you like an alternative from the Romulan alien that is so popular with everyone. And that trait was designed by a friend of ours who is actually just as knowledgeable in the game as Spencer and myself, might even be more knowledgeable than us, actually. Not just in like designing the game, but in metas and mechanics and stuff. If I was a betting person, if I was a betting cat, and we asked Jet if she believed that Infiltrator should stack or not, I think I would know what her answer would be. So yeah, when they hit that nerf, it hurt that ship, it hurt that trait, and it hurt everyone's wallet that spent money on that.
Most importantly, it hurt my immersion. Romulan faction is where I'm at, man. And them nerfing it just hurt.
Basically, that trait opens up the meta to everyone, and now that we have some ships on the Fed side at least that have cloak, like the 32nd century ships. If we ever get Infiltrator in the embassy, like they've hinted that they're gonna do, which I suspect might be why they did the nerf in the first place. That might be a reason why. Um, Basically, that opens up that playstyle to everyone who isn't a Romulan or who isn't a Reman captain, and that is a diversification of metas, which is something that we need in the game. It would be really, really nice to have. And I was one of the people that was really, really excited for Infiltrator to arrive at the embassy up until the point we learned that it was being nerfed. And it's like, oh man, so that's probably why I was so upset, was that disappointment. Like the expectation of actually finally, maybe, possibly, they hinted at it, getting infiltrators at the embassy. Oh my fucking lord! Sorry, that's number 4. I apologize. And then they nerf it, and yeah, that disappointment is probably why I reacted so badly to it.
Well, I want to say too, with She's a Predator, when Jet was designing that trait, there's no fucking way Infiltrator was not considered. She would have known about Infiltrator and would have factored that in. So, I mean, it was explicitly that trait is explicitly built, to be boosted by it. So,
You know why I guarantee you she knows about Infiltrator? Because I personally told her about it word for word. So yeah, keep going. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Stu Augie said you're not looking at Twitch chat. He's trying to troll you and you're not looking.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I am looking at it. I'm just not reading it.
Jeez.
I refreshed it a minute ago too, so I lost everything before.
I want to say, to Augie there, I think the meta, like, it's been fun chasing it the past 18 months, but the scene is just too small to like focus on that stuff. So it is good to do different things and just show people, that all the different possibilities you can do with builds and still have success in all the content.
And have fun, dare I say? What? I'm
Slotting
gonna
2 weapons isn't fun. It's hitting
not
yourself
for
with a whip.
not for you, but for me. I'm gonna answer this question because I actually thought it was interesting, and I'm gonna get everyone's opinion on this. So, I am not a Nugget Blackheart. Hello, welcome. Captain, may I ask a question about Star Trek Online and how much you have to pay? Because I honestly see your videos, but I'm just wondering how much you invested in yourself. So me personally, I'll start this off, then hand it off to Sark. I have been playing since 2014. I have bought the LTS, so the lifetime subscription, which was at the time $200. I bought 2 ships from the Sea Store at the time. That was a Prometheus and Regent. That's it. Everything else that I have had is been gained by in-game resources since 2014, playing the game. So that's what, 200, $300, I guess, because before Tier 5 ships, Spencer, were $50? Or 20, no, 20...
Like 20, 25?
Okay, so $250, $260 is what I've spent. Sorry?
Yes.
Okay.
Too much.
Oh, you don't? Okay, that's fine. I guess I said that because I'm not a Nugget continued that just feels like things are out of reach, and I get that. For me, it's just been time for me invested to get certain things. So
I've spent a bit on the game previously in the past. Recently, I've tried. Well, it's difficult. It's not I tried. It's I couldn't. But when I could, and there is something interesting, I would actually, put aside some money to go and purchase that. Which is something I understand quite a lot of people will also do the same thing. When the new ship comes out or whatnot, and Usually it comes out in the middle of the month, right? When people don't have their money, so they have to wait till the end of the month and they pay full price for it. That's probably why they do the sales in the middle of the month, huh? But yeah, people will pine for ships and will save up for them, or will wait, or till they have their tax returns, and then they'll splurge on ships. Um, but yeah, I nowadays I think I'm cutting the cord, so to speak, and I would rather spend my money in other places.
Martin. Martin doesn't want to say.
Mr. Mixted?
So my main account, and I have no idea, I'm gonna have to just guess, but I would probably say it's, I don't know, $1,000 plus would be a guess. And I didn't spend a lot on the game when I first started playing. It was really once, like, mid COVID, it was like a good excuse where I can't go anywhere. I need to stay busy. I'm not spending money going out to eat or other things like that. I say it all the time too. Like, STO is the first MMO I ever played. I was not accustomed to, microtransactions, those kinds of things. In the past, I bought a game, I played it, I was done. I didn't have to continue to spend money. But I do also have a free to play account that's completely free. It has lots of nice things, not everything, but it can do well. But that's taken me 2.5 years. So, like Trizander, most everything that you've gotten, you've been able to just earn in game. But I used to do that a lot on my main account and on my free to play. Obviously, it's all I can do. But if you're logging in just to grind resources, you're going to burn out pretty quick, and you would be better off at a minimum wage job and just buying the stuff. You would spend much less time than doing that. So there is a path to do it without spending any money. You just have to have the time, and you have to make sure that you try and grind it out in a way that is fun for you, so it doesn't turn into a job feeling like kind of thing. But on my main account, I've spent quite a bit of money. I've been in a position where I can, over the last couple of years and stuff. So I don't do, well, I do other stuff, but yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is that I can either, grind and try and exchange dill or buy things off the exchange, or I can, pay cash and save myself tons of time. And at the point in the life, the point I am in life, my time is more valuable to me than anything else. I got 3 kids, wife, business, all these other things. And I'm at a place where it's, if I need to have it, or I really, really want it, and I'm able to, then I buy it. But not everybody's in that position, and if you're somebody that's, on a strict budget and stuff, Stowe is pretty, friendly, and you can get through all of the content without spending any money or grinding crazy hard, as long as, you watch the videos on how to do things and that kind of thing. So it is friendly to it, but like anything else, if you're going to be someone that wants to min-max eventually, it's either going to be mass amounts of time or mass amounts of money. And in this game, there is that money side, right? In like SOTOR, there's not. You can't get maxed. You can't buy anything that's helpful to you in terms of performance. But in this game, there is. So there is a choice, but both of them can be kind of bad, if you don't have a lot of time and you don't have a lot of money.
You got to buy the dockyard outs too. Don't forget.
I don't want to talk about it.
Move on.
I am at just about 1900, I think, in the past decade, when I had added it up a couple weeks ago. So I expect that with Black Friday, I'll probably try to grab the large, like the $200 Zen package during the charge bonus they do at Black Friday. But that's mostly to get myself in a position where I already have the Zen ready for, the next anniversary event, for the next anniversary bundle. I did a lot of the free to play stuff a long time ago, and the reason that I don't really do the contraband anymore is because I know, especially with them nerfing a lot of the keybinds that I use, I would be burning myself out if I went and actually started doing contraband Admiralty on 56 characters. I would hate myself and I would start playing the game less, and dread logging into it. So I'm at a position now compared to a couple years ago where, especially with the YouTube, I could just use some of the YouTube money to just go and dump that into the game. So
I thought that was a good question, because I think I did want to include this from before we talk the Fleet Week stuff, because I know we have only half hour left with McStud ish. Last night, me and Spencer were talking, and this is something I would like to throw out there to you guys again, because with lockbox ships, R&D, here, you know, it being now sort of hand in hand with hero ships, I feel that there's a lot of money being left on the table by Cryptic by not allowing us to buy just the skins somehow. I don't know how that looks like, whether, let's just take the Cerritos, for example. Okay, a comment I received in one of the videos I did recently is, I got into Star Trek recently again, or Star Trek Online, because of Lower Decks. Now I want the Cerritos. Well, lo and behold, I'm gonna have to tell him it's a lockbox ship. So you're gonna have to spend EC or buy whatever to get that ship. So what are the ways that you would suggest if you could have a dev in front of you and say, hey, just a suggestion. Mine would be, any ship that we see, have it be a C-store at a tier level 5, and then upgrade it like a tier, like with those upgrade tokens. So upgrade it to a tier 5X, to tier 6. It's still the same ship, but you're just adding features onto it. That would be my sort of way to have anyone have a chance to get the ship that they want. Because you'd have people buy C-store ships versus lockbox ships and promo ships. So that's kind of was my thing, and I've been kind of talking about that a lot in the stream recently, of just ways to make the player base happy, of allowing them to get the ships they want and they see on screen, without it now, which is the trend, being a lockbox ship. Because we all know, look at the Farragut. Farragut, we saw that, what, 20 seconds, and it's a what, a lockbox ship? Like,
one for you.
Holy jeez. So Poktoy, thank you, sir. How are you doing? Thank you so much for that resub. I appreciate that.
You know what they would have to do if they did that, Tris? Make
What?
it a tier 1 ship so that you couldn't take it into TFOs. So you buy a ship for the skin at tier 1, and you can fly it around social maps, but you can't take it. If you want to get that model that you can take it to TFOs, you have to get the premium T6 lockbox version.
Right.
All the cosmetic at tier 1. Yep, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, again, that's my suggestion. I know, Spencer, you had yours, and I'm going to let you kind of speak to your suggestion. So
Well, let them go first. I got in there.
So, Mr. Sark,
What was the question again? Like,
what would you do to suggest to, or what would you suggest to the devs for them to make more money, to make more ships accessible to player base, as opposed to making everything that we see on screen lockbox or gamble ships?
I would like to know who's making that decision personally. But I would like to know, like, if we grab like a random group of 100 players or 1,000 players or whatnot, out of that group, how many would be willing to pay for $200, $300 packages? How many would be willing to pay for like $100 packages, $60 packages, and how many would pay for $30 packages, where the package would be a ship or a bundle of ships? And I would love to see those metrics, because I think the incompetence there, the incompetence possibly goes into that area as well. I agree that perhaps making the ships not be so premium and more readily accessible would probably generate a lot more money for them. But probably someone is like looking at the amount of cash they're getting from the keys, and that's probably the only thing that's keeping the lights on. The other thing is if they make like if they gotta make ships, then they have to make good ships, right? That's the other thing.
Yep.
If you want to sell ships, the ships have to be good, have to be competitive, and yeah, out of the number of ships that we see, how many of them actually are like out of the last 10 ships, how many of them are actually really decent? That's another number to consider. I don't know what the answers are, but I would love to know. I'm curious.
Big studs.
Yeah, so I think to Sark's point, I mean, there's too much we don't know in order to make that kind of suggestion. Because you'd have to look at, how much are you making from keys that are specifically for ships, and what price point could you just outright sell the ships at maybe something cheaper than what people are having are on average are spending in order to unlock one of those ships, because you can offset that either making the same money or potentially more by making them more accessible and a little bit cheaper. So because there's going to be there's going to be a cause and effect to any kind of change you make like that. And to Sark's point, if you can just buy a skin, so like first in my head I'm thinking, okay, well I go to the C store and I can just buy a ship skin that I can apply to any ship I want to in the tailor, and maybe it's just tied to that one ship, and maybe it's $10, maybe it's $15. Okay, but if the Farragut is not a good ship, then there's no point for them to even make that ship, right? I mean, if I just want it to look like it, I just go buy the skin.
Mhm.
And so really they'd have to make a shift in their model of the products they're selling and make it more oriented towards skins. So now the C store is just full of skins, and maybe there's only 30, 40 base models of different, variations of the way that a tier 6 ship could come. Because really that's all you're going to need is, not very many, base ships, and then maybe it just comes with some basic starter skin. And now the shop mainly has all the different ships that we see in the game. Those are all just skins, but I mean, you're talking about overhauling the entire way that their monetization model works, at least in practice and stuff. I think it would be a similar kind of monetization thing, but then a player could come in and earn their way up to their tier 5 ship, and if they wanted it to look however, they could buy that and apply it to it. Or if they wanted, something that's going to perform better, they go and buy some base ship that has, I don't know, maybe it's for torpedo build, so it's got command and it's, I don't know, a 5-3, whatever, right? And so they pick that base ship, and then they would have to buy a skin, or it comes with just some very basic skin, and then they could buy upgraded ones or new stuff comes out. But to Sark's point, if you could just buy the skins, half the ships in the game nobody would buy. They would just buy the skin for it. So it's hard to know like how something like that would look. Do I see anything like that happening? Never going to happen. But it's interesting to think about how something like that could work, but without having the rest of the info on the back end in terms of numbers that they make off of keys, that are specifically for ships, and how all that averages out. It'd be hard to even kind of speculate what could or couldn't work.
I think Stu, you've heard me talk about this. I know Triz heard me. We talked about this the other night. The way that I would change it is to just have ships be modular, where there's the skin you can buy, that's just the base ship or whatever. Then you have you like a weapons layout you can buy for it. So if you want to do 5-3, 4-4, you do whatever you want. You can just go out and buy that setup for that ship. Same for the consoles, and also same for the bridge officers. If there's a ship you have and you want to get a specific bridge officer seating on it with a modular system like that, you could go out to get that and pick it up. And they could monetize that quite a bit, but the likelihood of them ever doing a modular system like that is non-existent. The way their model is now, they could improve it with a modular approach like that, but they'll never put the time in at this point in the game to go through and do that at the end of the day.
Right. This is one of the conversations and this is not by any means like a garage door thing, but in my job, when we're bidding on tenders for new buildings, there's always a discussion of, well, should we bid on it if we're not going to be the cheapest one? But then if we don't bid on it, we don't have the chance to win it and make money. So I guess I'm trying to make a connection in my head here to Stowen. There are people who get turned off on this game because they can't get the ship that they want to fly. The Cerritos, you can't get it either unless you pay 1.5 plus B or whatever it is price now on the exchange and or open lockboxes. So there, whether it be just a skin, a FOMO type event where they put in the deal store or something like that to give people a chance to play or to fly the ships that they want. I guess it was just a fun discussion, and it would be, and that's what it is. All it is now is just a fun discussion. I thought it would be just fun to plug in there because I like that idea that you had there, Spencer, and just to have a modular type thing.
Devil's advocate though is that they could get that ship next year.
100%. Or that campaign.
They have made it a little more accessible. It's just you can't get what you want right now, and that's true in every game. I mean, tanks. I'll just keep using that same one. I've been playing that 2.5 years. I just got my first Bond tank. It's kind of like I don't know, Lobby. Okay, it's kind of a similar thing. And the tank that I got, there's no other way to get it. You have to earn the currency in game. And it's taken me that long. I probably could have grinded harder and stuff, but you're not just turning that around in a couple months, That's an MMO for you. You're not always going to get everything you want. But at the same time, nobody starts playing tanks because they want to drive, the light or the medium Chinese 141 that I got, right? No one came to tank saying, man, I'm going to try this game out because I really love this Chinese medium tank. People do come to Stowe though because they watch the show and they want to fly their ships. So that's something to take into consideration, I guess, when we're making these comparisons with other things.
Yeah, I just thought it was a fun thing to kind of bring up there. I am in like a black card. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. There you go again with the tank comparison. Star Tanks Online. Is that a thing? That could be a thing.
Over in YouTube chat, I just want to say, Megla Zeta, I bought my garage door off of the deep web too. It was much cheaper. Thank you for that information.
I mean, there are people, and probably I'm not sure if Mixed has gotten into this. I got a call from just a farmer saying, "Hey, do you have any spare garage parts that I can just come and get for you?" Yeah, he's shaking his head, so it's just weird. I'm like, no.
All the time. I mean, do you just have something used you just took down, you're just saving?
No.
And we've all tried it. We've all done that and saved it for like 5 years and then finally threw it away. And so we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, no.
And most people, their door's effed up, and that's why they're getting a new one. So anyways.
See, the tycoon here, we had to throw in the garage talk there. So with those topics, again, I thought it was just fun to throw out there. Was there anything else, Mr. Sark, McStud, Spencer, you want to throw in there before we talk about Fleet Week?
Yes, there's DOF called to Tyheth. It wipes debuffs when you hit emergency powered subsystem abilities. My 0 to 2 billion character has about 6 of them to sell, so go buy them up.
They're going to be set for like what, 1 mil each?
No, 100 million.
Wait, what does this DOF do again?
It's the KDF version of QLL, where every time you hit an emergency powered subsystem ability, it removes all debuffs off you. But because of how the EPTX abilities work, it actually wipes debuffs off you 4 times over 2 seconds right after you activate emergency powered subsystem abilities. So you can get sub-nuked after the first second after you activated it, and then they could still remove the sub-nuke a second later. Really good DOF. It's mostly used in PvP, but
it's a PvP trait. Yeah, okay.
it has applications for a heavy tank or someone doing randoms or going against Iconians. You know, we gotta think of some more places. The Mokai. Yeah, you play against the Mokai? Go pick up a tie-up.
That's 100 million for such a niche off. Like Iconians, huh? Really?
You're not helping
PvP
him here, Sark.
against. Oh, I'm supposed to help. That's true.
You're
Yeah,
not
okay.
helping him right now.
I was helping. I said 1 mil EC. That was helping.
They cost a lot to generate.
Oh,
A lot of clicking.
yeah, that was hilarious. So yeah, Fleet Week. The first question I wanted to just kind of throw out there, I don't remember any type of event like this where it's been sort of a real push to get a lot of people involved, from either people in Star Trek Online, Star Trek in general, or even now like content creators. I don't remember a time since 2014 that has happened. Am I off my rocker on that one?
Nope.
The only time I ever had them like reach out to do anything was when they were doing one of the Delta Recruit events initially, and they were doing a push to talk about each of the factions, the pros about each of the ones, and I did a video on why Romulans were awesome.
Right.
But that was really it was nothing like this. It was much more limited.
So there was, like, if you're just talking about like actual outreach from either the community manager or just in general from Cryptic towards content creators, it has happened before with the previous community manager. I
Trendy.
think Trendy. Yeah, she was in contact with different content creators. However, it backfired spectacularly due to one particular person, but we're not going to get into that.
Fired just a little
So,
bit.
Yeah, I learned the recent story of that one.
But even after that, she did a little bit of contact, but it was just between her and the content creators. I don't think anything was ever given out as prizes and stuff. Partway into that, we kind of bypassed her, or the devs decided to bypass her for some reason, and they started giving out interviews and stuff like that to different content creators after that particular point. Previous to that, it was only 2 particular podcasts that ever got access to devs for interviews. 1 or 2, but they kind of like diversified after that. So that was good. Those are the only 2 points I specifically remember, but something to this particular scale has never happened before.
Yeah.
So my understanding when I talked to them about it, Thomas and Kale, is that so this doesn't have anything to do with Cryptic Studios. This is basically Thomas's idea, came up with, wanted to start putting it together, enlisted Mike's help, which is Kale, and because of the position they're in, they have lots of contacts in the STO or the Star Trek world in general, and obviously through the game. And so Cryptic Studios is basically letting them use their channel, their blog posts, those kinds of things. And with all the connections these guys have, being in the industry that they're in, they're being able to just put this together. But this is their baby. This isn't a Cryptic project or anybody else. I mean, it's Thomas and Kale that have put this together in this whole event. So it's kind of interesting because when we first started, talking about it, when the news came out, there's a lot of people, man, I wish they would focus on this, that, or the other thing. And it's like, yeah, that's all. Like, I agree with you, but this isn't the game doing this stuff. This is these guys that work for the game. This is their own project that they're basically doing on the side and getting a lot of help from people all around the Star Trek community and the game community.
Yeah, I thought it was a real grandiose event, and the sort of open invitation that they had sort of mentioned was really good. And I'll mention this when it comes to the communication. The only reason I got Nick's interview was and what I messaged him and Thomas, and I said, man, I've been trying to get a hold of Ambassador Kale here for the past 6 months, and then but maybe next time. That's what I said. Maybe next time when all this is done, we can totally, because I wanted to do a follow-up on the Odyssey Bridge with him. And he said, well, let me poke Mike. Literally 5-10 minutes, he emailed me, oh, I'm so sorry, I missed all these like 12 update emails. I'm like, okay, well, it's okay. You're busy. I understand. I feel that this could be a start of a good thing, I would think, hopefully, is where I'm trying to get with why I want to bring this out. Because with Fleet Week, with all of us, in terms of the streams that are happening, the videos, and just the interviews, I do hope that this is a reoccurring thing, especially when it comes to one of the major things that's a sell in Star Trek Online, which is chips. So I wanted to ask that because I don't remember a time that this was a thing. Even then, before when I was playing, I don't remember these past content creators having such events like these. But then again, I wasn't watching Twitch. So, Nickstead, how are you doing for time, sir? 11:51
yeah,
for me.
I'm good. I got another 30 minutes.
Oh, I'm getting all flustered here. So yeah, Fleet Week I thought is a great thing for the community in general and Star Trek, because this whole now relationship of Cryptic and Paramount, CBS, whatever, it really feels like this is a huge positive with all the negatives that we were just kind of experiencing or lately. So I feel that we can suggest or maybe talk about what other type of events that we could do something like this in the future after Fleet Week that would get this type of sort of communication with the devs. Start with you, sir. What, like, theme, whatever, come up with a theme or something. This is just kind of off the cuff there, but with the Fleet Week coming, I wonder if this is just a one-time thing or we can make it some sort of a regular quarterly, bi-year, annually, whatever.
Sorry, I need to clear my throat there for a sec. I would wait to see how it turns out. I mean, there's lots of interesting stuff coming out this week. A lot of content creators are throwing their hat into the ring. So there's going to be videos. There's going to be a lot of streams from all of our friends out there. I don't have the list that we should have probably prepared a list of everyone who's doing stuff beforehand. But yeah, I would wait to see how it turns out. Let's be honest here, the STO category is small. Even in Twitch, it's a tiny category. On YouTube, it's a bit bigger, but still, it's a small category. So we'll judge afterwards how people react to it, how popular it is, the metrics, how they turn out, and if it's good, then yeah, maybe maybe there's a chance for repeating and doing other stuff. With different themes, maybe we'll do something related to the next season of Picard, or whatever comes out, Strange New Worlds. That would be interesting.
Sorry.
By the way, I gotta say, I love Strange New Worlds. It is like absolutely the best Star Trek ever. Like, first season, knocked it out of the park. Absolutely, it is amazing. We are we're not even in the golden era of Star Trek. This is like the diamond-plated, platinum, whatever you want era of Star Trek. I just had to say that.
Nickstead, my bean.
I think that they'll probably, Thomas for sure, and Kale will probably push to do this annually. There has been something prior similar, not way back, but Kale had put on a was it called Day of Honor, and it was basically a KDF similar kind of focus thing. It was only a day. I think he might have live streamed it. I remember vaguely, hearing about it when that had happened, but it wasn't anywhere near the scale and size that they've put together for this. You always say, STO, it's a niche of a niche. Well, Day of Honor with Klingons is even, it's even more of a niche. But what I think is really cool about this is that it's centered around the ship. Some of the panels that they have are really interesting to me. It's a twofer. Like, the more people that get involved in stream and do things that fill in more time of the day during the event, helps them. And I think it's also a good opportunity, especially for content creators that mainly cover STO, to be able to branch out, because Star Trek is a huge category on YouTube. STO is a small part of that, right? Because you look at Space Dock, and you look at all the other guys that they'll use STO for their videos, but they're covering Star Trek things. They're talking about ship histories and where they came from, or whatever. They're huge. They do very, very well. And so this is a good opportunity to get exposure to people that would come in, or that wouldn't normally come in to watch a STO stream or the STO news or whatever, our content that we mainly focus on, but we'll come to this because it's going to be this week-long, basically, virtual convention centered around Star Trek ships and the tech behind them and all the different things that goes into coming up with them and the lore and blah, 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 right? So I think it's good, and it's good, in a multifaceted kind of way. I think if we see it to continue to happen, it really is going to depend on how much fun Kale and Thomas have with it, and especially Thomas. I mean, he's got, ships now that he's designed going into, on TV or in canon. I mean, he's pumped, right? I mean, he's fully into this stuff. He's a sharp guy. He's very good at what he's doing. He's a nice dude, and he's got a lot of, contacts, not just in the industry of, gaming and Star Trek, but a lot of other places, and you'll see some of that in some of the panels that they're going to have. So I'm really pumped about it in general, just as a Star Trek fan and as a content creator. And it's really kind of less about STO. STO's just kind of the engine that we use to kind of get there or make some of the content like that I'm making for it. So that was kind of ranty, but I'm pretty excited about it. But it doesn't have anything to do directly with the game, the excitement that I have, other than the fact that they're both Star Trek related.
Okay. Vince?
When I saw Fleet Week, I assumed initially, before looking into it further, that it was going to be about fleets, especially right after the big fleet update. I'm gonna do some stuff for it, but I'm not gonna do it along the same lines as what they're focused on. I'm gonna go and actually do something like in-game focused on fleets. I do think events like this are good, especially if it's opening up more communication between the devs and the player base. I think that this type of event connects to a wider audience than some of our more niche stuff, for sure. Like Stu said, the general Star Trek stuff is amazingly performing well on YouTube, and STO is truly a niche of a niche of a niche. So I think it'll be interesting. See how it goes. I would have liked more, involvement in the game. But it, that they're focusing more on the models and the lore type stuff. So it's not really my thing. But I know for Triz, it's big, and for Stu is a big fan of all the ship models. I know. It's really big into it. He's here for the RP, and he doesn't actually care about deeps. It's that damn cave on Ryza is where you find them most of the time.
Whoa!
That's right. With my alt account.
Yeah,
That I've met that alt account. I'm like, who is this? And then all I
I
heard,
remember.
all I heard in a whisper in voice chat, that's me.
Also,
Yeah. No, but yeah, that's right. You had like two accounts there. So from initially how their original schedule came out here was the stream with Dark Mom Consortium, which is Monday, the panel, the Stellar Service on Tuesday, the 10 Forward Force Fleet Week, which of course a new ships are coming out. Thursday, Piece by Piece Live, and then Friday, the Q Continuum, and then of course October 15th was just one day of just continuous panels from like 11 to 5, and then they opened, and then McStud did the interview with Kale and Thomas there, opened up, say, hey, just, reach out. And a lot of us did, and we got in there. And I think this is a great community building sort of event. And hopefully, I mean, for me, maybe not quarterly, because they have other things to do, but yeah, why not make it annually and then theme it differently, have time to plan for it as opposed to trying to throw things there at the last second. But I guess, to Sark's point that, let's see how this goes. But I do think there's an excitement in the community, at least that we're part of, that this is something that's big, and I think that could lead to something more and more, continuous repeating events like this. Again, what would they look like? I don't know, but I hope that same invitation that they did, would be open again, because again, that story that Sark was alluding to, when I finally got the details, yeah, and that was kind of wrong to me, obviously, but just spread the love. You have people who promote the crap out of Star Trek Online. You're essentially your free billboards. At whatever reach that we have, it's a reach regardless. And these things, I think, just hypes up the whole community in general. So for me, I just would like the communication lines to be open and kept open, to the point where this thing, and if this is successful, yeah, Thomas and Kale will be like, oh yeah, let's do this again, right? Maybe it generated sales, maybe it, or whatever have you. So and with what Stud said there in terms of ships coming into stow, I don't know, captains, did you guys see a particular ship today that made it into a trailer? Because I did, and I literally had to change my uniform twice. Holy cow. Can we talk? Okay, Spencer, stop that. Can we kind of transition into, okay, before that,
I cleaned up a good picture of it. I'll send it to you.
oh, okay.
Wait, what happened? There was a trailer today? I didn't watch any trailer today.
Picard trailer.
Star Trek Picard trailer. And it had, okay, before we go, I say this, did anyone have anything else to add for Fleet Week?
I'll make it bigger.
Oh, finally.
Let me
Finally.
make it's widescreen, so I'll make it a little bit smaller here.
Chris, you have to calm down, okay?
That was
You're
the best I
live.
could. It was only in the shot for not even a whole second, so there was only a couple frames to grab.
Look at it on the stream.
No,
He's
that's-
like actually like
Crying. I know, it's exciting.
It's amazing.
Now, you know what I was thinking about? This was a community creation, right? There was a contest for this design of ship, players
The original, yes.
in the game. And so that guy is or girl is either like super pumped or pissed, right? Because he has no rights to it, but his design is now canon on the show.
Right. Yeah, let me put this quickly here. Window
Just
capture,
cover our faces up.
window capture and F. No, I saw this. I'm guessing no one else has anything to add to the Fleet Week stuff. Well, before we go into this sort of Next one.
So, Fleet Week. I'm looking forward to Monday. I think there was it Monday is when Tumo Boy has his the stuff with the panel with the Picard and the doohickey and all the fun stuff.
Think
something.
so.
I'm looking forward to the Stellar Service. I think that one's on Tuesday, and that's with like ex-military people, some intelligence analysts, and a couple other people, and how that plays into the ships. It looks really good.
Wizard Girly, that is fake news
These are his videos.
propagated by Big Pharma. That is not accurate at all. I would never abuse my channel to do such things.
Well, no. This whole thing with leading from Stowe into Star Trek canon is it's ridiculous. And Sark, you said earlier, the whole thing of being just Star Trek's getting bigger, right now. There's just so much Star Trek on right now, and the Fleet Week is just a great sort of, I think, sort of combining all of the things that's just happened here in the last year, right? With the ships going online and all that stuff, with all the designers that are working with Star Trek Online, with Thomas or whatever have you. So, yeah, I'm super pumped for Fleet Week. Vince?
Yeah.
Anything for Fleet Week? Or we talk about the beautiful ship?
I don't care. If I'm being just blunt with you, I think it's neat to have that lore and all that for the ships, but I've said before, I play this game for the systems part of it, which I know sounds really crazy to some people. I play this game because I enjoy the amount of depth you can go into when it comes to building out a ship, the combat mechanics. I don't really care about the ship model. Like, I will fly whatever ship is the highest performer, and we've talked about this before. I don't care how it looks. If it performs well, I'm a meta whore and I will run it.
I wish I wouldn't have laughed, because I would have wanted to clip that. Dang it. It's not the first time that you said that, but dang, that would have been such a... made me laugh there too much. So yes, so that was just a little Fleet Week. Now, the Enterprise F coming into canon, I think, is just a pinnacle of everything, like I said. And I don't know what else it's going to open up in terms of more ships going into canon. And I just hope that they just make things accessible. That's all. So, having seen these ships, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, it's just nice to have someone look at the ship, say, oh, look, there's Star Trek Online. Well, is the ship available? Boom. There we go. But yeah, I'm going to say it. I trizzed. Okay? Are you happy? Mm-hmm.
You actually
Is that the
disturbed me.
Sorry.
Is it actually the 1701F or is it just an?
Yep.
It says 1701 on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can't quite see.
There's a shot closer, but
Nice.
yeah, it does say 1701. Now, the question is, who's the captain of it? Right? That would be...
1701F on it.
Yeah. Over.
So we've heard rumors before that there are people in the production of Picard who are STO fans or STO players or whatnot. I think this pretty much confirms it, right? Either that or I guess they figured out that this is a really popular design. It is really well done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to see what deflector they ended up going with, because the only problem I had with the Odyssey, the original one, was it's the original deflector, but the Yorktown version of it was just they slimmed it down a little bit, as opposed to the original one was kind of beefy. Now they showed the Verity in the Picard comics, the USS Verity, I should say, which is an Odyssey type there. So in my mind, it was already canon because that was approved already by CBS having out there to have the name Star Trek on it, right? And that's kind of like a mentality that I just sort of recently started adopting because of id Gaming Federation, because if it's been approved, just because it's a comic, whatever. I know people are saying it's alpha or whatever. I don't really care. But seeing that just warp in the new starbase, and then the starbase had just a bunch of ships around it. Oh my dear lord. Oh, and I'm not sure. And so earlier I had a conversation with Bill Krause, the designer of the USS Titan A. He hinted something that is going to be in I think near the end of the season, and maybe it was this. Not sure. And regardless, though, I mean, I don't know what else. This is like the pinnacle. We have our flagship from Star Trek Online on screen, and she looks good. I just want to know what deflector it is. That's all. I refuse to get to attach. Never known. So yeah, Sark, I recommend you watching that trailer. If you're, it was good.
All right, I'll definitely catch that. I just really hope that
It's
the
good.
next promo ship is not going to be an Odyssey class.
Well,
Because it's
new
possible.
Enterprise, it's going to be like they're going to introduce a whole brand new lockbox for that.
oh shit.
T7, so they can do a T7 Audi.
Yeah.
You know what they would probably do is scale it up just a little bit and say, oh, it's a different size. Sorry, it has to be a new ship model on its own. I hope not. I mean, for me, it would be the nicest gesture if they would just give us a skin for free.
I think Thomas has been working on an update for that skin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's been released in game yet. That would be cool if that they just added that to our tailors.
In the past with the Odyssey, that usually is how it's worked.
I hope they continue that, because you know how many people would be happy. I mean, again, I wasn't the hugest fan of the Odyssey when I first saw it, the original one. Again, the Yorktown fixed all of the issues I had with it, and
this is the original one here.
Mm-hmm. But I'm wondering what deflector they used.
Yeah.
Right, like it didn't show, and I don't think that model that we saw that Thomas showed off in that thing, it didn't have it. That's the same shot, right? It had in the thing there. So better for a deflector view. Is it different? Oh, what? No, is there a different deflector? I'll look at that later. But yeah, that's essentially all I had, Cats, for notes. I'm not sure if there's anything you guys else wanted to add here, but you know, with the start of Fleet Week here, maybe the last thing that we'll touch on is from left to right, you know, what you guys are going to be working on, if not for Fleet Week, next up for you guys is content. Starting with Mr. Sark.
This week, upcoming week, probably gonna be doing some World of Warcraft and maybe some other stuff. There really isn't much content in SCO that I haven't done already, but maybe we'll squeeze in you know what? No, actually, probably not. I'll leave the Star Trek stuff to everyone else, and yeah, maybe we'll do some Diablo or World of Warcraft or something else.
Era Invicta.
Yeah, well, it's that's an interesting game actually. That strategy, tactical strategy, kind of like a cross between XCOM and like city builders and shit. So that's I definitely want to take a look at that.
Triz is like currently having a.
He's on Twitter.
Oh,
That's a really nice picture, by the way, that you just posted there, Mixed.
Yeah, that's the one he's looking at on Thomas's deal.
Oh, wow.
He covered himself so that we wouldn't see.
Oh, what? Sorry.
You know what's gonna happen? He's gonna immediately after this, he's gonna be in voice chat with us. We're gonna hear the zipper. He's
Stop
sick
it.
freak.
Stop it. Thanks, sorry. No, I just saw that. So it doesn't look like the original one. It looks a little bit more kind of refined.
Yeah.
So
the question is, how are we going to get that? There was so they were going to announce a ship in the middle of Fleet Week, and then there was like a maybe if Thomas could get it done in time, a second announcement.
Ooh.
I'm wondering if the Farragut ended up getting announced a week early, and that was what they were going to do in the middle of Fleet Week, and then there was something on top of that. Because if the Farragut was meant to come out this week, then that means there was at least 2 ships scheduled 100% for this week and next week. And if Thomas had whatever his project he was working on, which I'm kind of guessing it was this, then that was going to be coming as well. But I think the Farragut was originally going to be announced next week on the 10 forward stream.
There's an disco ship, but I think that the way or when they announced it, it was right at the same time. Like they were talking about how they could do ship models from other games. That's what led me into like doing like my clickbaity news video on the Typhoon class.
It's not clickbait if there's a question mark. I told you. Okay, just asking the question.
Yeah, I said there's a question mark on all the clickbait thumbnails or titles. Gotta counter it.
Mm-hmm. Sir, what are you working on?
I'm currently I was a little bit late getting into show prep with you guys because I was working on some stuff with my fleet where I'm putting together a video for Fleet Week. It's just going to be a ship parade done basically all with demo record. So I picked a couple select ships that I really like, a couple of Spencer's favorite RPN ships, and then I got my fleet together and got as many ships as we could in so we could get a what would look like a big like a car show in space. And so I'm going to mix all that together and I'll be putting that out probably midweek. So it'll just have a ton of ships, nice visuals, hopefully some good music if I can find some new stuff that's decent. And yeah, so that's what I'm working on right now. And then most likely any kind of news that comes up, I will cover most of that. Most of the news. I generally don't cover like new lockbox ships. It's just not my thing, but news updates, things that are important, that kind of thing, we'll definitely be talking about. Anything that's free for sure.
Yep.
I've got a couple plans. I want to start this week. I'd like to start getting out the review series for the 10th anniversary bundle. When I talked about the 10th anniversary bundle a couple weeks ago, when they did that little sale, I had quite a few people interested in me doing a series talking about the bundle and whether or not it's worth it. So I think one of my main focuses leading up to Black Friday, especially when it comes to stow content, is going to be going over the value of various bundles and just trying to get some ship reviews done that are just purely stats based. I'm not going to do performance taking it into Argyle or anything like that. It's just going to be mostly looking at the stats, seeing what ships it compares to, seeing the value of the ship, things like that. Outside of that, I've got some market manipulation to do, as Wizard Girly called out. I'm thinking of doing, with Keelel and Tyheth there, I was thinking of doing top 5 ways to increase survivability, and mentioning that Dolphin there is one of the things.
Of course you would.
The look on Trisander's face.
Top 5 ways to increase survivability. Number 1, DPS. Number 2, DPS. Number 3, DPS.
Well,
number 4,
That's exactly what I was
DPS.
thinking.
And then number 5, a little bit of DPS.
Well, we know that, but to a wider audience, people don't want to just accept that. They want other solutions other than, just kill things faster.
Are we in the mirror universe?
Unfortunately.
We're just missing, but just don't cover those cheeks, please, with any mustache or beards or whatever, please. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, I thought the mountain man beard you had there a while back looked good, dude.
Oh.
I'd even attempt to grow that out again. It's going to look absolutely terrible.
It was a epic beard, dude.
It is problematic for background removal. Like, I'm finding mine, I trimmed mine, and I can already notice it's much better with the green screens in the background.
Nick and B ask, which one is best drainer? The Bozeman. You just get the Bozeman console on your ship, and then you don't need to use any drains.
Well, you need some Polaron with beam overload.
Vodwar Polaron. Yeah, that'll be very immersive.
Dominion Polaron, and it's free.
I would like recommend the refracting Tetrions.
Yeah. Shield stripping.
Oh, they got the refraction sort of like the bowl.
Sort of like
Those are
the
mission rewards
bowl.
too, right?
No,
quite.
Those are reputation store.
We're going pretty deep on this
quote.
Now, actually, those would be like something that are good candidates for like updating and stuff. Some of the older rep stuff and the older fleet stuff could probably use a serious overhaul.
That's I'd have to say the fleet stuff.
Make Tetrion great again. Was it ever good? I mean, I know you can do well with it, but it's never been like on the top of lists when you're looking at builds.
There was a time, and sorry, you would probably remember this, where people, I think in ISE pre-DR, there were a couple people that used Tetrion because it would also boost up the new car web breaker.
Oh man, that old thing! Holy shit! You just I remember.
I use that. I still have used those. I think my 278 even has it in it.
Megla would be so happy.
He's like, yeah, let's not start with Megla.
But yeah, I think I had a conversation earlier on my stream too today. Someone was asking about, what damage type to use, and people shit on Tetrion, Polaron Plasma quite often, but I don't think people realize that outside of like the Terran, weapon, that there's such a little difference. It doesn't matter what flavor you use. People go nuts, to get the ones that are out there referred to as the meta, like Sensor Linked, Spiral Wave. Spiral Wave does actually get us one extra proc or one extra mod, which that's cool, but for everything else, the difference doesn't matter. Just use whatever the hell you want. And I know Triz is agreeing with that. I don't see him shaking his head though. Oh, there he is.
I have a big smile on my face and it hurts.
You use the color that you like. I like the 8472 phasers, the bio phasers. The bright green phasers, those are so awesome.
Wizard Girly asked, just a quick question. Are there any DOFs you can recommend, and are they available at the exchange at the moment by any chance? Wizard Girly? Yep. I'm typing it right there.
Oh my gosh. See,
someone undercut mine, so if you could go buy out that one that's at $9.99. Be
no, I for myself, like I said, I originally didn't have anything sort of planned with the schedule there, and then I actually reached out to Bill Krause 3 weeks ago now, and just to see what would happen. Within 10 minutes, he responded, and I'd mentioned, hey, would I be able to have an interview with you? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. Just not this weekend. Not this weekend, not next weekend. I have like a family thing, whatever. And he we decided, you know, the 9th, which is of course tomorrow, and that was going to be my sort of contribution. And then it turned out, of course, that's tomorrow at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, my time. That will be with Bill Krause, and we already actually talked today earlier, and I meant it to only be, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes just to do a systems check with him, because he didn't have the Discord, and we just wanted to make sure the audio was good and go over things that we can or cannot talk about, because there was things that we could not talk about. And he said he was just getting over COVID, so I wanted to be respectful of his time. So I said, you know, I just wanted to make a quote. We ended up talking over an hour. And believe me when I say, Caps, he was nerding out as much as I was. He's just more mature about it. Like, I was making faces and such like that. He was just very calm and collected.
Noises.
But I did. I went, "Arr!" He's like, "Are you okay? What was that?" I'm like, "What? No, that's
He's-
just that's
He's
a
not
good
acclimated
thing."
to that.
He wasn't. He was not. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that really was surprising for me, that he opened up, but he said, like, no one wants to talk about starships. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So, and then he even went to so far as say, yeah, no, this one interview is not going to be enough. I'm like, excuse me. So that's going to be tomorrow, and then of course Monday is my time there with Nick, aka Tumor Boy, and I also took part in All Things Trek. Again, earlier, who dropped in a super chat, thank you, sir. He asked me to do a sort of video. Whoa! Sorry. Jeez. Sir, thank you so much.
Admiral, if you will come with me.
For the membership there, I appreciate it. How are you, sir? God, dang it. Now, this is why I don't put a camera on. So yeah, he asked me to do a little part there, and I recorded that. That's why I didn't stream for like 2 days, because that was part of the thing that I was trying to get out there. So that's pretty much it. And Waldo, my good friend Waldo, he suggested we do some sort of stream fleet night thing, so that's what we're going to probably do on Saturday. I'll probably work on that after I get these 2 interviews out of the way, and then focus on making that the last part, because there are Striker, thank you so much for the follow and sub, sir. Thank you. I appreciate that. So that's pretty much what I'm gonna do, and it's been kind of a busy thing. I still have a lot of things to kind of work on, so I'm gonna take tomorrow morning before this the interview with Bill to just work out a couple of details, because there is a bunch of giveaways that they gave us who took part in the Fleet Week, and we're gonna have to find a way of how we're gonna give that out, because it's not only PC this time, it's actually PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. So I have to go.
Can you tell us about that? You said there was a chance to win a bundle. What does that mean? The anniversary bundle.
Yes. So the way Kale worded it was, you also get a 10th anniversary ship bundle for either platform. So do the draw for it, and whichever captain wins and whichever platform they are on, they just have to specify, and I have to let Kale know, and then Kale will give me a code for that.
I see.
So that's kind of how they did that. So it sounds like from those who got codes from Kale, it's about the same. I think it was like Elite Services Pack, the First Responder Bundle, again for all platforms, and then the 10th Anniversary Bundle. So I'm probably going to do just like a chance for everyone to enter on both, either the Twitch on YouTube too as well, for that. So just remember my hand. No. Ikaw talaga ha. Rab ha. So yeah, no, that is kind of all I had to announce there. So there's a lot of Fleet Week stuff happening here. I'd like to take this opportunity to say, Sark, thank you, sir, for joining us. I never thought I'd have this opportunity to be on this type of show with you, sir, because the first time I met you, it was It was on the
That
show
was,
itself.
on the show. So a long time ago, many years ago,
Hmm.
there used to be a show called The Show, and there were people in that particular STO cast, including Spencer and myself,
Mm.
and we interviewed Trizander way back when. I could probably pull up that episode somewhere at some
You don't
point.
have to. Nothing has changed. And I don't even think you did my challenge that I gave you.
I did, didn't I?
Oh, did you? Oh,
I
okay.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I was late. Like it was like a few months ago. I sent you a picture of
Oh,
the.
okay. The challenge, by the way, Captain,
said-
was putting a torpedo on his aft.
I think it was like make a canon themed ship and fly it around.
Circled. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the challenge because I was pretty much pushing the meta back then. I think quite different now. I like to push some weird stuff because I'm bored.
It's always fun.
But yeah,
to...
thank you for having me. You know, it's a reversal. I had him on I interviewed him way back when, and now he has me as a guest on his show. So
No,
reversal. I
think
am
this
honored
is,
to be here as well.
No, this is gonna be this is open to you, sir. Anytime. You're part already of the channel there, so you know, Goss hasn't left yet. I think he's just gotten busy in real life. So I think we just have to come up with a different window cut if we are all 5 of us here together. But doing this has just given me, like I said, a different outlook, and because having your guys' opinions and with all of the sort of circles that we are in, and then kind of bring it together here has just been such an awesome time. So, so thank you. I don't know, any last words, Caps, before we close it off, and why you guys why do you got to do that? Just, I'll leave it left to right if you want. Wow, Elmo hugging you from behind again, is he?
Hail Satan, brother.
Is that Cersei's back there?
Cersei's?
It's Elmo.
No, actually, if you look at Triz's, you can see Cersei's behind him.
No, my favorite DPS ship. Gosh. Favorite DPS ship that I want to fly, and maybe I'd say right now the Sagan.
I just unpacked mine today.
You said, oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? Just usually, if you listen to Bill the way he talks, my goodness, you can tell his passion. But anyways, it's the same, and it's awesome. But Mixed, I know you gotta kind of get ready to take off here, so I'm sorry it went a little bit over.
No, we're good. I just have to fit in Lord of the Rings before it gets too late. So.
No, okay, well, I'm gonna close off the stream here, Caps. I'm gonna be right back. But again, Stark, thank you. McStud, thank you. Spencer,
Thank you.
I'm gonna pinch your cheeks here soon. What?
I am really concerned about these types of statements, and I don't know how to feel.
Listen, I'm not going to invite you here to Canada and give you a PC cover, sir. Okay, that's just not how it works. Asians just love to pinch cheeks. Rob can actually attain. Okay, this is not going anywhere that I wanted to, so I'm going to probably say something that I don't want to. So again, thanks, Caps. I'm going to close off the stream, and I will be back there in chat. So. Sign off, Caps.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Meow.
Hail Satan.
Stop it. All right, let's say goodbye to Spencer, bye to Stud, and bye to Sark. All right, captains, thank you so much. I appreciate you captains stopping by. That was a great conversation I thought we had, and glad we were able to fit it in before Fleet Week started, which for me, it's going to start tomorrow. So again, captains, I invite you 3 p.m. Sunday with Bill Krause. I'm super excited. I really am. I can tell he just wanted to talk ships, wanted to talk he was mentioning stuff like detail-wise of the Titan that only he would be able to talk about. So I thought it was a really great conversation, and I cannot wait for tomorrow. And I asked him if there is a cap on it. He's like, I don't know. I have till 9. I'm like, what? So again, he's just such a super cool guy to talk to. I'm really happy that he said yes, and it seems like it's something that we can keep going on, because he says one interview is not going to be enough. So again, it's going to be on both platforms again. It'll be on YouTube and Twitch, so that you caps can see that. And of course, if you can't make it that time, there will be the video that comes up. And so right now, captains on Twitch, we're going to do a raid. YouTube captains, don't forget to like the video, comment, and also subscribe to the YouTube Bridge. Look out for more things to income. And again, to the Twitch Striker, thank you for the follow. The Prime sub, Pock Toy for the resub, Mixta, thank you. Goofball for the cheers. And of course, Jose, thank you for the Admiral sub, All Things Trek for your super chat, along with I Am Not a Nugget. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The support you captains give here on the bridge is just, it's humbling. It really is. So I find that the more we have the more time goes on, we just have a lot of things to talk about, because Star Trek is just starting to just really become so huge now, and I'm hoping we can just keep this train going. What's your phone number, Quentin? Rosenko? I can't say I can give that. The work phone. But so yeah, we're gonna do a raid here, and then on YouTube the stream will end. So captains, again, thank you so much for showing up, and I appreciate all the fun talks. And again, we'll be back tomorrow for that stream with Bill. How's Heaven Nights going to rewatch? Yeah. So my God, can I just get a yes? Let's go for that Odyssey F. Sorry, Odyssey F, Enterprise F. All right, I'll stop, and we'll start the raid here. I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry. A beautiful ship. It is a beautiful ship. So now we're just gonna probably find someone here that we haven't possibly rated yet. That would be good to spread the Stowe love community-wise. That's what we do. So, and I think we found who we're going to do that. So, and we'll start the raid here. Captains, you know I love you all. I thank you. What is this? Orders to change your ship. Oh, does your ship have a problem? Yes, I know I do have a problem. Call me if you want. Again, thank you. Looks like I got orders to change my ship. I'm gonna probably receive some orders in the next sort of couple of days here. So it looks like I'm gonna have also a build order for that. So again, captains, Sawadee, thank you so much. I love you all. I really do. I appreciate it. Take care. Let us say hello to Bear Fight. Consider getting our command score verification.